Hello to everyone tuning in live and everyone watching on the repeat. This is the 10th episode of Double Feature Horror Show. It's kind of astounding to me that we've done 10 episodes of this already, but the weeks start coming and they don't stop coming. I'm joined as ever by Haryan and that crime guy. Haryan, how are you doing, mate?
Hello. What up, my drillers? I'm good, thank you.
Very nice.
G'day.
That crime guy.
G'day, Shillers.
Nice. I was going to start with what up, carrot pillars, which will confuse some people, delight others, infuriate certain Welsh Persian academics. And we have a special guest, a returning guest from the very first episode of Double Feature Horror Show. How you doing, Rose of Dawn?
Hiya. I wanted to get onto this one because as soon as I saw that you were talking about Braindead, I thought it's a good opportunity to talk about like classic Peter Jackson, which is just the weirdest, it's. I'll save it. I'll save it when we go into it. But classic Peter Jackson is something quite special.
Oh, he's the cinematic equivalent of like the American pastor who's got a certain saucy past and has certain revelations about restroom transactions come out. He's a good boy with a fine reputation doing some of the biggest films around.
It's just genuinely
very interesting.
It's genuinely insane when you figure out that Fellowship of the Ring came out 10 years after Braindead.
I know.
I can't think of any other director where there's such a huge jump in such a small space of time. Like when you look at his original background in films, it's so much of it is this really like schlocky, doing it for the fun of it, like getting his friends and family involved, making the kind of stuff like Bad Taste.
Ooh.
And then it doesn't take long, and you end up with like the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
It absolutely baffles me. It really does.
So, how much of like Peter Jackson's original stuff have you seen?
Well, you may be the most qualified person to talk about this stuff on the stream because I've seen Bad Taste. I've seen Heavenly Creatures, which came out immediately after Braindead. I haven't seen Meet the Feebles. I have seen The Frighteners. I feel like I'm the only person who has. No one talks about that movie.
Oh no, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a good laugh, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we need to do The Frighteners.
I haven't seen The Frighteners or Heavenly Creatures, but I think when you're talking about like the very early years, that the kind of unofficial trilogy of Feebles, Braindead, and Bad Taste is quite essential. Like because they are very much an evolution of one another.
Mergu, good point. Sam Raimi started off with hang on, the Woods, and then Chopping Mall, and then Evil Dead 2, Chopping Mall, and then directing the best Spider-Man who's ever existed. Surely no one's disputing the supremacy of Tobey Maguire, right?
Well, if we ignore the third, perhaps.
Well, no, but he's brilliant in the third.
I don't know. The third one had a dance scene.
Yeah.
Right. No, one thing about the third, like Spider-Man 3, like when you see it, you can't unsee it. When he's acting all evil, and he answers the phone by saying "Shalom."
Yeah, he does. It's literally his first line after it.
I just distinctly remember the end of that film because I went to see it with my mates in the cinema, and when that film ended, the whole cinema erupted with a round of applause, not because of the quality of the film, but because it was over.
Yeah, it's like I'm fairly controversial in that I loved the first Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man. The second one I was so excited for because it had Doc Ock in it. And it's generally considered to be the best of the trilogy, but I didn't like it. I know it's controversial, but I felt that it had too much a focus on. Bear in mind, this was me as a teenager, and I remember I'd been to Universal Studios where they have the whole Marvel area, and I was like, really hyped up for Marvel stuff, and then it was just, oh, for God's sake, Cammy. I got a new monitor. I got a new monitor today, and she's just clambering on the box.
This is why I lock my cat outside the front room.
We need the stunt monitor for Cammy.
Like she's been sleeping all day, and as soon as it's like right time to stream, it's like no, right? Now is the time to be a mischievous Maine Coon, isn't it, Cammy?
Hang on a minute, my cat's actually in here. How'd you get in here?
So yeah, as I say, I think that Spider-Man 2 is a film that I probably need to rewatch as an adult, but I just remember like it doesn't have all that much action in it. And when I was younger, I wanted to watch a Spider-Man film to see Spider-Man. I wasn't too bothered about Peter Parker.
Right.
And sometimes you just need to have those like just kind of action-y ones. You don't always need to have a character study into a superhero. Sometimes you just need dumb fun. And that's why I really like the Fantastic Four film. Like the the one from like back
Jessica
in
Alba.
2005.
Oh yeah.
The one with Chris Evans.
Chris Evans, yeah. That was I like the first one of the Fantastic Four. And I didn't even really mind the second one. I think if you like, it's, at the end of the day, it was during an era where it was more comic-y, if you will.
Yeah.
And I quite like that. I mean, of course, those films had their faults. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, if you just want a bit of mindless action, then it was giving you what you were expecting.
And then The Dark Knight basically changed all of that.
Yes.
And then we had to go everything had to be brooding and gritty and. That's why I like the Ant-Man film so much, because Ant-Man is just silly. Ant-Man's just silly fun.
If we're talking broody superhero films, I feel like after our Sam Raimi drive, we should possibly mention Darkman. Not Blade. Darkman. It's actually called that.
Right, okay.
Oh, we have got a future viewing. Darkman, I should remember this. I want to say it's Liam Neeson as a superhero, and it's an attempt to be quite witty.
Oh my god, yeah, I've heard of this.
Yeah, and
okay.
I think 2 sequels to it. It is, perhaps like what was the Alec Baldwin one, The Shadow?
Right.
I don't think it was actually sort of. Well, let's say there are reasons Blade is more remembered. But Darkman, I think we should maybe have a look at, because if we're doing, and I had actually got a note that I'd like us to do like scary superheroes. I feel we might have to do that. Sorry, actually, Rose, you asked a very interesting question about how much of the early Peter Jackson people have seen, actually. So I diverted us. Harry and TCG, do you want to go for that?
Well, I mean, apart from obviously Braindead and The Frighteners, to be fair, I'm not really big on producer names, director names, and whatnot. So if I've seen Peter Jackson films, it's probably just pure chance that I've come across them.
The thing is, his early ones, you would remember them. They have they have a very distinctive schlocky feel that is more just down to their cheapness.
Yeah,
and they have fun with the cheapness, which is why I think before I know this is your proper horror show, as it were, but I feel like the best way to talk about the Peter Jackson early films is to basically you start off at the beginning, so you start off with Bad Taste, and then you move on to The Feebles, and then you kind of end it with Braindead, which Braindead I actually only saw very recently.
Okay.
It's a film that I'd been meaning to watch for a long time, but I just hadn't found a copy of it anywhere. Eventually I just paid to watch it on Amazon, and then today I found out there's actually a free copy of it on YouTube.
Yes.
So I could have saved myself a couple of pounds there, but well. No, Peter Jackson might need the money. But yeah, Bad Taste is on Amazon Prime at least.
Okay.
And Bad Taste when I was growing up was it was actually one of my favorite films. In high school, there was a kind of like, I don't know how you would describe him. He was a kind of a bit of a weird kid, but he was also kind of cool at the same time. Like he was a geek who knew he was a geek, and so he was kind of cool as a result of it.
He embraced it.
Yeah, he really, really embraced it. And like, he was kind of proud of like his alternativeness, but he wasn't a like emo or anything like that. But anyway, he was really obsessed with the film, and he would quote it all the time. And eventually I actually bought a copy of it because it was like £2. And it's great because I think it cost like $30,000 to make. It was a really small budget, but like most of the costumes were made in house. Like most of the cast are all people that Peter Jackson's like friends and family. Like they all played extras. I mean, Peter Jackson like famously plays Derek, who is the best character in the film, and I think he just kind of gave himself the most iconic lines.
Something we will see in Braindead as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I was watching Braindead, it was kind of like, there's one particular line which I thought, this is Braindead's version of Derek's Don't Run. But like you like Braindead, Bad Taste starts out quite graphic, really, at least with its with the cheapness of the effects. When you have one of the boys, I keep on forgetting his name, he shoots the head off the alien, so that the alien's kind of got like a half head, and like you see bits of brain and blood still squirting, which I think is amazing that they did such a special effect with such a cheap budget. Yeah, like it looks cheap, but at the same time, it looks like they put effort into it. Like it's a really kind of weird way of describing it. Camino. And Bad Taste is full of that. It's full of like kind of weird voice, like dubbing, which doesn't really kind of make much sense. I mean, I think there was a bit of that in Braindead as well. Like Lord Crumb is dubbed in Bad Taste, and it kind of works for him, and I don't know why. It's one of these things where it really shouldn't work, but it just kind of does. And then you. Like the line, all the dialogue, it feels like it's like purposely wooden. And like this, right again at the start, like one of the boys like trying to tell the alien to go away. He's just like, go away, and then just like carries on walking. He's like, oh yeah, this is your last chance. Leave me alone. And like it's kind of supposed, almost like. In the film, he's supposed to be this badass, but he's just like a 30-something bloke from like back with like like back ends of New Zealand, and like but they just have a lot of fun with it. And then when you get to Feebles, Feebles is kind of a bit of a detour, but one of the things that a lot of people took away from Bad Taste, especially with the name Bad Taste, is like how kind of graphic it got with its violence. And Feebles goes like not just so much with the violence, but with a lot of the gross out. Like with Bad Taste, a lot of people remember the scene when they're all eating like that kind of gruel, and then they're throwing it up and then eating it again. Whereas Feebles has lots of gross out sexual imagery, scat, disease, drugs, and it looks like a film that you would actually catch hepatitis from just by being near proximity to it. It's like it looks like it's an abandoned theme park attraction that's been left moldy for several years. But again, like that was kind of its point. And even when you watch some of the quote unquote special effects, there's scenes where they're driving around in cars and stuff, and it's clearly a remote control car. It's clearly a remote control car.
There's something like this in Braindead as well. Like we'll get to it when we cover it. But I'll just mention it now since you said that. Did you notice like some of the shots of trams were clearly models?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why
Yeah.
was
Oh
that?
yeah.
They had a real tram. That was
Alright.
really confusing the heck out of me.
It's like if you looked at the plane at the start, I think there was shots of that same plane which were models.
Yeah.
Like in his early films, he would do this a lot. Not so much in Bad Taste, apart from the only real model in that I think was the flying houses. But yeah, in Meet the Feebles, there's a lot of a really high amount of like usage of like remote control cars, models, and stuff. And the thing is, these two films had much bigger budgets than Bad Taste as well. Like again, Bad Taste was dirt cheap, whereas Feebles, I think, had a similar budget to Braindead, which was about 3 million. And the thing is, neither of them were big hits. That they became cult classics, and they were very, very controversial when they were released. But they were never huge. Neither of them were big international hits. I would say that Bad Taste is the one which, of the early films that people really remember. Meet the Feebles is the forgotten one. But at least with Braindead, you had the reference in King Kong 2005.
Oh yes.
Which I think a lot of people that's probably what turned a lot of people on to it's a reference to Braindead when they referenced the Sumatran rat monkey.
Yeah, there's that. And
okay.
if you're old like me, there was a brief, beautiful time when I want to say Channel 4 ran a film season called Cinema Extreme, and they had Mark Commode presenting it. And I've saved all the intros for this because I think we can do something with them. And it's just him presenting these quite weird cult films, doing a little intro, and I kind of love it. And one of the films he showed was Braindead, and I was a bit transfixed because I was like 15, and this was the best thing I'd ever seen. I just couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah, like when you
sorry, before we go into Braindead, I always feel so hokey doing this bit, but before we do the thing that will be about 80% of the stream, the bit everyone's here for, the history of the BBFC 1912 to 1932.
Go
This
on.
is what we're here for.
Entertain me.
Why is this a thing?
Entertain, educate.
Oh, can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I leaned on my speaker one. It sounded weird. I always conceived of this being double feature horror show after the Rocky Horror intro song double feature picture show, and I always thought we'd have two parts to it. And it's ended up that basically I cover the topic really quickly, usually, and then we go absolutely hog wild on the film. But this is one of the ones I had saved up from the very start because I thought it's quite interesting, and it's also completely pointless now. Like, I'll throw this. How can I say? I find it really fascinating, but my impression is basically film certificates don't seem to matter now.
No.
Do you guys think that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can't remember the last. I mean, I don't know whether that's just because I'm now old enough to see whatever I want anyway.
Yeah.
But that could be a bit. But especially with streaming and stuff, it's not like they can really stop you from watching things if you're not old enough to do so, because everyone, like all kids, will know how to get around like parental locks on these things and profiles.
Exactly. Like this was so important. What film certificate something had was so important when you were going to Blockbuster or your local independent video store, and you'd have to go, "Mom, can I get this?"
Yeah.
Or you'd have to try and like bluff you're 15 or you're 18 and just hope that the person doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Remember how
it mattered then.
Yeah, I remember being a kid and like having to memorize the age I would have to be 15, like to age myself up to 15, and then like you go to the counter with the thing, they sort of give you a look. What's your birthday, mate? 27th of October 2000.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. That's not my birthday. Don't look it up. Yeah,
Fair play.
like cold sweats and stuff. But yeah, I remember. Yeah, no, yeah, like you say, it don't matter now though, because kids can obviously navigate the internet much better than
Camino.
Cammy than what we can. But
Yeah, but back in the day, this was big, and it still, to an extent, has an impact on how a film will perform, which is why there's so much effort to get that sweet 12A, or in America that R rating. You do not want NC-17. Lots of cinemas won't even show your movie if you're NC-17. So what I thought I'd do is just something that might be interesting for people is how we got film certificates. And it's interesting to see the evolution in thinking and what it means about the culture, how we sort of controlled movies. So from the very start, something that might be interesting is that we only got the British Board of Film Censors. They were not the British Board of Film Certification until the 80s. They were the Film Censors, and they were set up in 1912 primarily to watch out for the use of film stock, which was highly flammable, as I think anyone who's seen Inglourious Bastards will know. It's not just a funny plot point in that movie. The early film stock really was highly combustible, and there was actually a series of tragic deaths in Newmarket in 1907.
Wow.
Where a cinema burnt down and 2 women and a girl died.
This film has been branded too hot for cinema, basically.
Oof! Too soon.
Wow.
Too soon. Oh dear.
I'm here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
I found it funny.
There was a similar incident in Barnsley in 1908 when 16 children were crushed to death at a crowded cinema show when everyone tried to bail out. But I don't think you should talk about crushes on children on the internet anymore.
There was what's his name?
I see what you did there.
Fantastic Horror on YouTube did a video covering that incident. That
Really?
Yeah, I think it might have been that, but it may have been that one. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, nice.
I think it was. Yeah,
that's interesting. But anyway, so at the time, there were just 2 ratings. So we're talking 1912. There's 2 ratings, and it's really simple. You are passed for universal exhibition. This boy, the U, which we still know. We have approved for adult audiences, as you can see, not for anyone under 16, and it's basically just that. And if you have anything a bit too naughty that they don't like, you're just basically told you've got to cut it out. So, and ultimately, this is just the recommendation from the British Board of Film Censors. As I understand it, if they don't cut, just sort of demand that you not include certain material, it goes out with one of those 2 ratings. But ultimately, local councils have the legal decision whether to allow a film to be shown or not. And that's why you can end up with anomalies like certain councils will take a particular offence to a movie and just still ban it from being shown. But there was a fair amount of controversy about the films coming out, and the public and these councils were quite concerned about what's going out there and about the influence. And I'm going to see if this works.
Smooth.
Yes,
Chad.
it worked. And we get this guy. Look at this beast.
T.P. O'Connor.
Absolute boss. So this absolute mad lad is a very successful Irish politician, ends up becoming a newspaper owner, and he gets the role of the first president of the BBFC. And in 1916, he does something that sort of revolutionizes it. He starts to formalize things with the way things are rated, and he sets out the standards for what you can and cannot have in a movie.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is a really key question. I hope it's as fascinating as I feel it is, because the question of what is adult material, what is suitable to be shown to the public, and what has to be banned, what is subversive, I think is actually really interesting and really telling. Because, it's obviously changed a lot over the years, right?
Oh, absolutely, definitely.
And this handsome chap here with his boater,
Cool.
I don't know if that's a boater actually. He gave 43 categories of things which are grounds for deletion in a film.
Okay.
And these are T.P. O'Connor's things, which I just thought might be quite interesting to look at.
When you see it.
I've highlighted a few of them I thought might be interesting to people.
Subjects dealing with white slave traffic.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
So if it dealt with black slave trafficking, that's fine.
Yes.
But
Yes.
no to whitey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
That's
It's-
racist.
Check out 22. Subjects dealing with India in which British officers are seen in an odious light and otherwise attempting to suggest the disloyalty of British officers, native states, or bringing into disrepute British prestige in the Empire.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, I mean, what you're going to notice here, and you've already picked up on, some of these sound that some of them are like very standard, like nude fit. They're a bit further than we'd go these days, you know. Number 13, excessively passionate love scenes, nude figures. Where's the one about underwear? Do you have underwear? Men and women in bed together, not allowed. In delicate sexual situations, 32. First night scenes.
Incidents in. Wait a second. Well, there's one about like arranging to meet. Subjects dealing with premeditated seduction of girls.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, no pickup artists.
There we go. Number
Nope.
8, unnecessary exhibition of underclothing.
Oh, there you go.
Like, this isn't hugely different, is it? This is basically if you're getting a bit lewd, your film rating is going to go up. But this is a bit more hardline. This is just sort of excessive exhibition of underclothing, deleted. If you are showing men and women in bed together, deleted. Illicit relationships, deleted. First night scenes.
This is like a proto Mary Whitehouse.
Yeah, a little bit like that. There's
Right.
obviously the violence.
Hang on. I've just seen 44 Ignorance of Destiny's Child.
Well done, we got there.
They had standards back in the day. Imagine not knowing about Destiny's Child. You'd have been booted out and given
Unbelievable
cane.
Yeah, they put that in close to 80 years before they formed.
Well,
Right.
you have to understand, Haryan, at the time, Britain just wasn't ready for that jelly.
Unbelievable.
I am impressed.
But yeah, you've also got here some of the things I've highlighted in blue, which are a lot more anti-subversion. You know? So just that broad category of scenes suggestive of immorality, I think a fair amount would be in there. Number 40, themes and references relative to race suicide. I think that is...
that race mixing.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's about race mixing. It's about the good old miscegenation. Don't knock it till you've tried it.
Yeah, well, I've never heard a Wignut call it race suicide, but that just seems like something they've come up with.
This is from 1916.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
And-
that's what it means. Okay. I actually okay. I thought it meant something else.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. That's what it appears to be in the writing. The BBFC, bless them, they do keep this up there. They do let you see this list. They don't give you all that much elaboration on it. There's also interesting, you look at number 16, relations of capital and labour.
Yeah.
Immediately following references to controversial politics. Now, this is a bit before the 1926
You
general
are going to have
strike.
to go out.
Oh, Rose, I've got to do the stream. Come on.
No, poor Cam.
Sorry.
No.
She's attacking everything. Sorry, Cammers.
Wow.
Oh, busted.
Sorry about that, guys. But
Yeah,
Hashtag
absolutely
free Cammy.
no, I've got to be a fair. I've got to be a fair mum. Got to be a fair mum.
I think Cammy and Pepper would get on like a house on fire. They probably set the house on fire.
And Cammy's just decided, like, oh, Mum's busy, right? What mischief should I get up to?
I have sent out a tweet saying #free Cammy. I want everyone to like tweet.
She's become like little teenage Cammy, where she's like pushing the boundaries as much as she can. She's in a like, little rebellious phase. But she's massive though. She's absolutely massive. Like it's weird to think like how small she was when I first got her, and now she's the size of a normal cat.
Oh, she's get even bigger.
She is gonna be huge. And then my boyfriend's got rescued a ragamuffin cat a few weeks ago, and they're big as well. So we're going to end up with 2 massive cats, which I think is just great.
Nice.
We approve of cats. Oh, something else I'd got a note on here. So in the first year of operation, the BBFC examined 7,488 films. They gave 6,681 U rating, 627 the A rating, and took exception to 166 demanding cuts and completely rejected 22, which is quite interesting. Well, for me anyway. So we move on from here. Oh, go ahead.
I was saying I'm interested in the 22 films.
Yes.
Do we know if there was ever any way that we could see them? Not obviously.
I think you can see them now. I found a few books that have the details, but I didn't want to go too far into it. I thought it was interesting that there's anti-subversion stuff in here.
Yeah.
Now, I've jumped ahead a bit there because I'm daft. Never mind. So you've got that in, which is meant to be strict and give more clarity to what's going to be allowed and what's going to be not. And what's interesting is the writing up of this by film historians tends to portray the BBFC. I'll probably see if I can go back on that. I can. They tend to look at this and they portray the BBFC as like fuddy-duddies, banning all the good stuff. And I think they are massively wrong. I think they are really looking at that with the sort of modern lens, because what we seem to see is actually it's councils and the public, the Mary Whitehouse of their time, the average Joe on the street is saying, I'm worried about what's coming into my local matinee performance, and saying, look, you've got to tighten this up. You're being too lax. I mean, there's a definite bias in what was being allowed, but I'm just not sure that this is an excessively strict list as it's portrayed, because what you see going forward is actually what seems to be indications of the opposite, that you actually get councils still refusing to display films after the 1916 TPO Connor recommendations. And that says to me, actually, they're saying that the BBFC was too lax, it was too forgiving, it was too liberal, right? I mean, the notes I've got here are showing that you got to remember that the BBFC is based in Shaftesbury Avenue at the time. It's Theatreland. It is the, relative to the rest of the country, it is the metropolitan liberal area. And it's the more northern towns where, Baz is saying that he doesn't fancy this stuff. He can't show this to his little uns. And North FC of the time don't like this. And that's where we get the next development I just wanted to cover before I bring this to, because there's an end point I really wanted to get to. The big concern that they had was horror films. So we get some notes of this kind, your BBFC examiners review the film. They don't put all that many notes out. So I was trying to get my hands on the originals. They're a bit stingy. I might be able to get them in the future. But they just sort of note here what they had the problem with. And I think we have another one. We have the 1925
Hey, hold on a second. Go
Phantom
back.
of the Opera. Yeah,
Go
sure.
back. So in Dracula, The blood in Dracula is when someone cuts himself with a paperclip.
What?
Yes, too spicy.
In Dracula.
Yeah.
And the vampire film, I want to suck your blood.
Yeah, went too
That
far.
Dracula. The
Too much blood.
But the paperclip is the one thing. Like the vampire. Oh God, my God, that's insane. I genuinely didn't know that. That's insane. In the vampire film, like you'd think that you'd kind of need to have blood in your vampire film, caused by the vampires, not a fucking paper. The paperclip is more lethal than the vampire.
It is to this film's chances of being exhibited, but you know, this is 1931. I've got your 1925's Phantom of the Opera there. They're objecting to that. Some of the particular things they had a problem with. And famously, James Whale's Frankenstein, they objected to a scene where Frankenstein's monster yeets a small child and drowns her.
You
they
see
didn't
that
like that.
the threat there looks a bit more reasonable. I mean, it's still a PG. That's quite funny. Because I suppose is that today's standards?
Yeah, that's PG? Today's standards.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because typically the older films get the more lax they tend to get a rating. Like I think your Terminators, for example, I think is one that sort of springs out. You know, I think the original was like an 18 or something along those lines, but I don't know. Maybe it's a 15 now, I guess. But yeah, looking at that, 1925, I'm thinking that would have easily been, well, possibly even 18 if you're. You know, if you've got basically a scene that Logan Paul recreated.
Oof. I get you.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So at the time, this would have been rated A for adult.
Right.
But again, still, this was considered too lax. And you see, we're covering films here from 1925, prime sort of Lon Chaney era silent films. And two films from 1931, Frankenstein and Dracula. And the BBFC is sort of pressed into action because too many people, the councils are complaining, you're not fuddy-duddies, you're not too restrictive, you are too lax. And so the BBFC decides to change things up. And I've pressed the wrong thing.
Nice.
There we go. And we get this. This is what I wanted to get to. Yeah, the H certificate. Look at that. Isn't that brilliant? H for horrific.
Boom. Right.
Isn't that good?
It's quite sweet.
Dark Eyes of London has been passed horrific. In 1932, they passed this, and it's a special certificate just for horror films, allowing a little more leeway, but giving a bit more, you know, I mean, this is the same restrictions that are placed on the A for adult, but it's just making it very clear what you're seeing. This is going to be a bit further than your adult film. It's going to be a bit spicier. And the H for horrific certificate lasts until 1951, when it is folded into the X certificate.
Right. Watch out for them paper clips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is probably more than anyone ever wanted to know about about the BBFC certificate.
No, but it is interesting though, because the way, you know, the way that films were certificated back in the day is almost, you know, it's almost shaped the way that films are made today. You know, you know, if you didn't have these rating systems, or if they look vastly different, you know, you'd probably have a very different media than what we have today. You know, could you imagine a film like Braindead being made with those standards? That TP, was it TP Cooper?
TP O'Connor.
Yeah, O'Connor. That's it. You know, could you imagine a film like this being made? Hell no.
No, indeed. Actually, something might be, you might know this, Rose, is that one of the films that the BBFC had a load of trouble with was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. A-rated.
Really?
Scandalous. Yeah.
Was this for the what was that for?
They had real problems with the transformation of the Queen to the Witch, and they made them run that twice and remove sound effects.
Not the non-consensual kiss.
Oh God! Don't get me started on that.
Well,
like Snow White does have some relatively, like, I would say, quite like scary moments in it. And in fact, the very first ride at Disney, which is based on Snow White, was Snow White's Scary Adventures, which really took a lot of influence from the scene where Snow White is running away from the huntsman, and she ends up in the forest where she's seeing like all these trees with faces on them, and they look quite scary. And then, of course, you have like the evil queen and her transformation later on. It definitely has some intense moments. In fact, I would say a lot of the early Disney films have relatively intense moments in them. I mean, Pinocchio with the whole transformation scene on Pleasure Island.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff's really
freaks
horrific.
me out so much.
Yeah,
really
and then you have
Monstro.
And you have Monstro. Monstro is quite horrifying to look at as well. But you just see like all his massive teeth. Yeah, it's this Disney. Like we can like look at it in like the eyes of like today and just think, oh, this is all just relatively tame fairy tale stuff. But I would say with Snow White, like again, like these films were not made for kids. So in like Snow White was not made to appeal to the children. I mean, there was a lot of adults who would go to the pictures and watch, the latest Mickey Mouse or Goofy and stuff. And then Looney Tunes especially was aimed at adults more so than children.
Yeah, and you've also got to bear in mind as well, even at that time, those films were watered down versions of the original lore.
Yes.
Snow White, I don't know, I can't recall the exact sort of back, the original version of Snow White, but I imagine it would have been much more darker than what Disney used.
Well, God, yeah, the way in which the original Snow White ends is like the evil queen isn't killed by falling off the cliff like she is in the Disney cartoon. Now, what happens is at the wedding of Snow White and Prince Charming, the evil queen is there as kind of like a guest, and they make her wear this like kind of like these like iron boots or something that like have like blades in them that dig into her, and she eventually kind of like dies because of blood loss.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly. I can't remember whether that's right. Something happens to the queen at the wedding, and it's really, really not pleasant.
I couldn't imagine it. I swear there's one of them. I don't even really want to say what happens because family friendly stream.
It is a very family friendly stream. We're friendly to many families.
But the ending of the Disney version, I'm not even going to say the film. Yeah, okay. I think you might know.
Right, okay, so the original ending, I was kind of there. So the way in which the evil queen is punished in the original is that she's made to dance wearing a pair of red-hot iron shoes until she falls over dead.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's not going in a Universal, is it?
No.
No. No. All right, folks. So, yeah, I just thought that was really interesting. Paradoxically, as it becomes less relevant, as basically film ratings just seem to not have as much effect on us, particularly, exactly as you said, when we're streaming, when there's, other methods of finding films online, and I guess to an extent when we're all over 18. Haryan, all of us?
I'm over 80. You know I'm over 80.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, he was 18 last week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Okay. But I found that there was a H for horrific certification. I was like, that's amazing. That makes me really happy. But forgive my little obsession, folks. And now I think to get to the meat of the stream and the bone and the blood and the sinews, Peter Jackson's Braindead. Oh yes, yeah. Just a
oh yeah.
okay. Anyone else here kick ass for the Lord?
Hell yeah.
I certainly do.
Yeah, that was Braindead's equivalent of Derek's Don't Run. As soon as I heard it, it's like you've got to add in these super cheesy but instantly quotable lines, and it's actually is something I loved about it. Like it's just so in your face with its cheesiness. But that is what you want. That is what you want with like these Peter Jackson films.
It took me about 3 attempts to watch that graveyard scene just because I was laughing so much. I was just crying.
Well, I think from the very start, you've got the tenor of the film that it's going to be messy, but it's not going to take itself hugely seriously. I think the portrayal of the indigenous islanders there is possibly something Peter Jackson might not do today. But 1992 is a very different time. And I believe that is Peter Jackson right there on the right, isn't it?
No, it isn't.
It's on the left.
No, Peter Jackson is it? No, Peter
Is that not him?
No, that's not him. Peter
I thought
Jackson
he had 2 cameos. Darn it.
No, as far as I'm aware, he only has the one, which is the Undertaker's assistant.
But he's definitely in that. I mean, he loves his cameos, but
so I think you see his head
too.
being kicked. You see like the top part of his head being kicked around the house, and like that's or at least it looks a lot like him because it just looks a lot like Derek. And so when I think of Peter Jackson in that time, I just think of Derek. But like it's that start bit is still very much kind of like something like Bad Taste, where the guy in the glasses is he's very much full on, like we've got a permit.
That bit was hilarious. Just waving this permit like they even care.
Cancel the permit. We got a permit for it.
And he just pulls a gun out of nowhere as well.
And just starts shooting at them. It's like it's just really reminiscent of The Boys. It's like they have a right to do that, or at least Derek. Again, it's very Derek-like. I just think Derek is kind of like a quintessential Peter Jackson character, and I wish that there was more. Like Derek had more of an influence in his later films. You know, like someone that's just incredibly wacky and nerdy, and like apparently a badass, despite the fact that he doesn't look like one. But I just really like that.
Well, Lionel's a bit like that, I suppose. Like he's incredibly dorky.
Yeah.
He has his badass moments, but he sort of has to earn it. He doesn't start off a badass.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, he only really gets that, in kind of like in the finale, in the third act. That's when he really kind of comes out of his skull. Unless you kind of count the bit where he's beaten up the zombie baby.
That scene
in the park.
That's a bit of a badass moment.
That was my favourite scene in the whole film. But then at the same time, I was like, why is he taking his kid to the park?
Well, that was, I mean, that was my question, and it turned out the answer was so that they can have the park scene. And I'm like, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah. I'm not going to think about it.
At that point in the movie, I think we know the tone and how serious they're taking themselves, so we can let it go.
Yeah.
But
one thing that I liked about the start is that, again, Peter Jackson lore, it's set on Skull Island.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think he realized at the time that he actually would be able to go out and make that King Kong film that he always wanted. And so when you see that and then see the Braindead reference in King Kong, it's like poetry. It rhymes. It's just nice. It's a really, really nice thing when you just kind of realize he got to live his dream after all.
You've got to like that. And by the way, chat, did you manage your horror homework this week? Did you get your hands on a copy of Braindead, which is on YouTube in its absolute entirety?
Fully uncut. It looks like Empire did
as well.
Yes.
I got some messages from people. I think my favorite was, "Why the hell did you make me watch this?"
I mean, I was definitely like that near the end. I'm like, what? I felt like I was watching a Terry Gilliam film.
Yeah,
with
good
the madness
comparison.
that's going on. Yeah, which is
Pretty
good.
good.
That is, yeah. Oh, Terry Gilliam's films are weird. A lot goes on. And it's all wacky and it's all very entertaining, and that's how I felt about this film. Especially with like, just the bit with the tarot cards as well. Like, there's an obsession with that. And it's like, oh, look for the star and moon, and then it's made with like a I don't know, tape suite and pencils. Yeah.
Yes.
And at that point, I'm like, well, I know this is bullshit, but it's great.
They're leaning into it, you know.
Yeah,
like, in that tarot scene. Does this remind you of the guy from Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Oh, Carl. Oh my god,
Yeah.
actually, yes.
I just love
He
this
looks
guy.
like an older Carl.
Yeah, he's in for just this scene, but I loved him.
I thought they were Italian for ages as well, until people said they were Spanish.
Yeah, I couldn't. It took me a while to actually place where they were from, because the accent's just really weird. Like, I initially I thought, oh, maybe it's supposed to be like Romanian or something, because you know they got the tarot cards and like all the you know, kind of like mystic stuff. But no, it was apparently Spain. But again, like, it's like, you know, it's like, it's almost like purposely bad. It feels purposely bad.
Well, it's like the accent from the dude at the opening scene. Not the guy with the glasses, but the other guy. He sounds Jamaican at the start. They're just so over the top. We're gonna get this out here, man. I'm like, what the? What?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
What is going on?
Yeah.
Okay, folks, in the chat, if you didn't see it, like, this is not a serious film. You will enjoy it regardless of us spoiling it. So you don't have to duck out. I'd usually say duck out if you haven't seen the film, but don't worry, you'll be absolutely fine. This is not taking itself seriously, and like the opening scene tells you it's not being serious. This scene with the tarot is just telling you very clearly, don't take us too seriously, okay? As well as a sort of kind of like faux 1950s aesthetic that they've got going on there, which kind of makes the film a bit gorgeous, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if it was trying to be 50s or 70s. It was
set in 1957.
1957 it's set in, yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Actually, I thought that was quite a nice touch to it. Like, it's not like there's a real kind of 50s aesthetic, which is particularly obvious, but you know, at times like when the nurse turns up, you know, like that kind of thing is clearly related to the thing.
Empire in the chat, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Empire, we all agree.
Unanimous.
She was hot.
We're big fans.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see why Lionel's mother was going all overbearing.
It was a very I thought it was actually quite a nice dress as well. She was wearing at the beginning. Very nice. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that first scene, she's trying to, she's flashing a little bit of the brassiere, just the strap to the what's his name, Miles, the big beefy Chad guy who's the rugby player, and she's trying to sort of entice him, and it's like she's in this 1950s attire, but she's also like, she's not your how can I say, she's not your I want to say Patricia Arquette in Blue Velvet. Just I'm probably getting the actress wrong there, so apologies. She's not totally squeaky clean parody of innocence. She's looking for a partner. She's quite romantic, and she's canny as well. What I really liked about Paquita is the way she kind of traps Lionel into taking her to the zoo.
See, I thought that, because when I first sort of watched it, I was like, okay, when did she discover that she could speak fluent English? Because in that bit, it was like really, really broken. And then I didn't sort of cotton until like while I was like halfway through it, and I was like, no, she played him then. Clever girl.
Yeah, she's really after a date.
Yes.
Charlie Chieftain, thank you. I'm very sorry. It was indeed Laura Dern. Sorry about that. No, Isabella Rossellini was the more sort of wild, sort of, the whore side of the virgin whore dichotomy that Blue Velvet was playing with.
Family.
Laura Dern, who I was thinking of. Thank you. So she's canny. She's a little bit subversive, but she's Empire are not putting that up.
She wants the rooster. I was really getting that vibe that she was gagging for it, for lack of a better term.
She just needed a glass of water. She was well thirsty in that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah, although she plays along with Lionel's antics for quite some time in it.
Yeah, she has that feist, but she also does. I mean, if we're picking apart, that she puts up with a lot of crap. I think if she, presumably the justification is that because she really believes in the tarot, she really believes in that destiny, then she believes that it's got to be Lionel, so she puts up with all the nonsense. And maybe she's also kind of sympathetic to him. She sees the overbearing mother, and she's she sort of takes pity. She sees he's a good guy who just needs to basically get out from under his mother.
Yeah, and then and then obviously you have the actual scene at the zoo where she's following them about. Oh, and the stop motion in the zoo bit.
Did you love it? Did you love it?
It was very Jason and the Argonauts.
High praise.
That's the only film I can think of when it comes to stop motion. It was just really jarring because I probably haven't seen stop motion like that in years. I think the last time I watched Jason and the Argonauts was when I was about 12. So
yeah, I mean, it's around. If you watch Evil Dead 2, you see that there is a sort of reanimated dancing corpse, and they just decided to do that with stop motion. But you do know that it is it's stop motion. See you, Charlie Chieftain. Thank you for correcting me on Laura Dern. I'm sorry I messed that one up there. I was kicking myself when I said it. I should have known. Yes, I do use it. It's a minor part in the film, but they do decide to do the Sumatran rat monkey entirely in stop motion, and oh god, hit that awful thing just lamping the poor little monkey.
That bit's really sad.
Just punches it.
Punching to it.
Yeah, and then the zookeeper as well was one of my favourite bits.
Crikey, mate! What's going on here?
You vicious little shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I love that he's just smoking, and
he's always got a cigarette. What does he say? It's like, probably sucks the blood of virgins, eh?
Yeah.
He's having a great time. He's hamming it up. He's sort of his tale of the rats coming off the slave ships and having their way with the monkeys on the island, and that's how you get this little thing. It's like, oh god.
I was just there was so much going on in that scene with the stop motion. Then the monkey dies, and then the zookeeper just doesn't care and just starts talking about that.
Do you know what I quite liked about that scene was the music they were using to sort of describe, because it sort of went a bit stop start. You know, it was like normal zoo, nice little date, and then obviously he has the flashback to what he believes was him drowning. And then the sort of music changes, the scene changes, and then as soon as she's like, "Oh look, the monkeys," and then it just all picks up again, and then it stops again, and then it picks up again. I thought it was quite. I quite like that.
Yeah, it's a nicely done design. It's very much giving you that sort of extreme wholesome vibe, but then the whole film gives you this sort of swelling wholesome vibe in its sort of presentation. All these beautiful 1950s dresses, all the old stylings, and then it throws in these moments of extreme crudity to sort of just mess with that.
Yeah, for a film set in the 1950s as well, it's where you'd expect it to be quite clean. Yeah,
it's incredibly raunchy. It's having a lot of fun. So we've dealt with them bonding and getting to like each other at the zoo, and they've already shared a sneaky kiss at this point. And again, this is so brisk. This film isn't wasting any time. That really impressed me when I watched this. That you move immediately to the conflict, that the mother wants to keep them apart, that she's sneaking out, that she's already sort of broken something to make sure that Lionel has to run away from Paquita and come back to her. And then she sneaks out to follow at the zoo. Like, this is a crude film. It is not subtle, but it does actually have a good dynamic in here. I think this is what kind of distinguishes it from Bad Taste, and I would presume Meet the Feebles, is it has a very clear sense of direction.
Yes.
And it does have character arcs. It's a lot stronger. It's
well,
more
Meet
professional.
Meet the Feebles is more like an ensemble film with multiple character arcs, various different stories going on with all sorts of different themes. And it is like the main story with Meet the Feebles really is just about this like show which is called the Fabulous Feebles Variety Hour, and they're going out on TV, and like it's they just want to make a big show of it. But then there's the hippo called Heidi, who is dating the owner of the show, who's called Bletch, who's a walrus, and he's cheating on her with this cat. And there's this new intern who is really, really innocent compared to everybody else on the show, and he falls in love with one of the dancers, and then she ends up getting drugged and made to do porn, and he finds out, and then he dresses up like a knight for some reason. And then there's a rabbit who it's heavily implied has AIDS. Only turn at the end turns out it's actually a different. It's just bunny pox. And there's all these different story arcs that kind of build up to the hippo going on a rampage and shooting everyone with a sawn-off shotgun.
Yeah, there's a lot of crudity, but would it be fair to say that? Would you say that Braindead is the first Jackson film that's kind of got a heart?
Yes, I would.
That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, like Bad Taste is just a couple of guys having fun. Meet the Feebles is let's be as crude with puppets as we possibly can. Braindead feels more like like you said, that there is a very kind of clear narrative. It's about a man whose mother becomes a zombie. Like it's that's the simplest way that you can put Braindead. Whereas Feebles, it's Muppets who are taking crack and having sex with each other.
Sounds like my kind of film.
It doesn't kind of give this the same kind of impression. Bear in mind, like I don't think Feebles is a great film. Like I would say of the three, it's the weakest, and it is very, very off-putting by how kind of grimy it can look. But I mean, at the same time, it's kind of important to wonder, like, especially with some of the other scenes that happen in Braindead, you can clearly see the evolution from the films in terms of the gross out. I would say that Braindead is kind of the pinnacle of like Peter Jackson's gross out trilogy in terms of like how graphic it gets.
Oh yeah, but just also in terms of like I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to theme cuck here because I will always say that you've got to have a solid movie. The theme without the movie doesn't count. You've got to have the theme as the seasoning for a wonderful plot. But there is a good theme here. Like, we can all just get our Jordan Peterson on here, because Braindead's really quite a good story in terms of the journey of this guy having to grow up and become a man, become an adult man. You know, he's got to stand up to his mother. And there is the good metaphor here of, throughout the film, he doesn't address the actual issue he has, which is that he has not stood up to his mother, so she continues to take over his life, continues to dominate, and he can't get rid of her. You know, he can't let go of her, and that issue keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Like, it, even though it should be in the past, it should be dead and buried, it comes back, and it's still haunting him because and it multiplies. Nice one, TCG. That Peterson guy.
Well, you said put my Peterson head on.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. But he doesn't deal with the problem. He can't bury it because it keeps coming back. He ultimately has to confront it.
I mean, literally,
is Petersonian storytelling.
Yeah, he literally cannot bury it. Cannot keep it buried.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting way of putting it.
I always have to theme cuck in this every single time.
My themes.
I know. Yeah. I thought it was nice, and I remember from 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson uses that example of a book about a dragon in the house. Harry, and you know Peterson more than me. It's a dragon, isn't it?
Yep. And it keeps eating pancakes and keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And instead of actually like trying to get rid of this dragon that's just eating the pancakes in the house and stopping the kid from eating, just keep feeding it instead of getting rid of it. And eventually it takes over the whole house, and then they can't get rid of it because it's too big. That's essentially
it wants more pancakes.
Yeah. I think that was the story. But yeah, it was stopping the child from eating. That was the problem. But they couldn't get rid of the dragon. So that's why he's always going on about slay your dragons. Well, that and St. George, and dragons being slayed in literally every fantasy film and book ever created. So, but
pancakes.
Pancakes as well.
Maybe not pancakes, but custard. What about custard? How do you feel about custard?
Rich and creamy.
Yes. This is like the big kind of one of the big standout like gross scenes in the film, akin to the Grawl in Bad Taste, or just a lot of the scenes involving Harry in Meet the Feebles, where the custard itself doesn't look particularly appetizing. The guy who's into it, they're having close-ups of this guy who looks relatively unpleasant, putting this slop in his mouth, and then you see the blood going into it, and then you got like the ear going into it, and then like the mum eats the ear, and like you got things like popping across the room, whilst this guy's completely oblivious and just continuing to chow it down. Like again, it like the Grawl scene from Bad Taste, it feels kind of a lot like that, but then with just the additional gross out from Feebles added into it, and so it's almost like a it just feels like like a grand finale of these kinds of films. If Peter Jackson has like leveled himself up and he's worked his way up to being able to kind of do this. It would just be completely jarring if you hadn't seen the original ones beforehand, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like at this point in the movie, because it's about midway through the movie we get this, or the first half. It's just before.
I'd say it's in the first. I would say it's still in the. No, I would say this is in the first act.
First act, okay. That's cool. But I feel like it's shown you a fair amount of violence and dismemberment, and you might have been kind of okay with that. You'd be like, okay, I've seen a fair amount. I think this custard scene is to really mess with you. And just this is the worst scene for me. oh gosh.
Nah.
There's the scene before as well when she's getting ready and like she peels part of her face off and Lionel like glues it back on.
Yeah, he gets glued. It's like stop moving, it'll go on crooked. What are you doing? Take her to hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, just it's when it starts to get a bit
Haryan.
steamed. Yeah, go on.
Harry, it's the WLWL.
Oh god, yeah.
Nailed it. I love
was
how
very-
he gets that sort of self-importance on them. He's just, I love it. It's the same as the "I've got a permit" thing.
Yeah.
It was starting to get very steamed hams where he's just trying to explain away obvious tomfoolery.
Oh.
It's just like, and she eats her own ear as well in this scene.
Yeah.
Which he just
Spits out-
misses.
and spits out the earring.
Oh dear. Yeah.
All
which
right.
he
No
doesn't
more
notice.
custard photo. I'll take it away for now.
Might
Yeah,
be talking about the Peterson one, to be fair.
Oh,
But yeah, that was a pretty grim scene.
Oh,
Enjoyed it. Yeah.
You just get this constant intensification in the film. You know, the mother's intruding, watching, and then she's just requiring this horrific charade. Oh god, and then it gets worse and worse, and he puts on the archers to send
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
That was weird. Haryan, you know the
Yeah.
archers?
Archers.
It's
Oh, no.
okay.
The arches. Come on.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
In fairness, we're talking something quite niche here.
Harry, if I go...
Oh, yeah. I know that more from a Monty Python sketch than anything, though.
Right.
So, that whole scene got me as well, because he times smashing the
Oh, yeah.
vase or whatever, and
Yeah.
on her head, and I was like, oh, that is really clever. And and she's like, oh, which toothbrush is it? And he's getting choked, and he's clearly getting choked, just shouting, green! And she doesn't really mind to it. Yeah.
It's kind of
like
it's already prepped you for how not seriously it's taking itself when it does that. So you just kind of roll with it. I don't feel it's really trying for the fear effect at all. It is absolutely trying to gross you out though.
Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
It's more it's trying to disgust you more than scare you, at least at this point anyway. Well, and for most of the rest of the film, really. So.
And just skipping forward, the mother dies, having lost ears, having shot pus across the room. And there's you probably noticed that after she dies and is resurrected, she's played by a complete different actress.
Yeah.
Just wearing a rubber mask.
Hang on, has she eaten the dog yet at this point?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Actually,
I forgot that. Yeah.
So before she dies.
Yeah.
So she eats the dog, and that was when she. That's when they call the nurse.
Yeah. Mrs. McIntosh. I can't remember the name, but yeah, and obviously, yeah, she dies at the bottom of the stairs, doesn't she? And I can't get over how quickly Paquita, is that Paquita?
Paquita.
Yeah, Paquita. I can't get over how quickly she gets over the death of her dog.
Well, Lionel's replies, oh, it's just like, oh, she ate my dog, and he just says back, well, most of it. Yeah.
And then you get the archers, and then you get the choking out. Yeah.
This is
she's all like, oh, I'll go and pack her bag. It's like, you just ate your dog, man. Like, shouldn't you be like a bit mad?
This is what I mean. It's very Terry Gilliam.
You have to be quite rolling with the vibe at this point, because otherwise you are going to say, Paquita, are you really okay with that? She's literally just eaten your dog. You've just got the tail back, and then you're being shooed out. Why are you putting up with any of this crap? Like,
I think it's a good example of what you said earlier about her just willing to put up with anything, basically, just to fulfill the destiny of the tarot cards.
Yeah, I'm being very generous with that excuse. But
Well,
again,
I think you were right. I'm not being funny. I think you were right. I mean, I think if there wasn't any tarot cards involved, she probably would have thought, nah, this guy's a bit too much.
Yeah, definitely. It's in for a film that is not playing itself 100% seriously. It's sort of enough motivation to keep you ticking over and staying with it and enjoying the vibe. And we get that very interesting scene in the mausoleum, and I mean it just gets more extreme, doesn't it? The eyeballs are popping out.
Oh,
what is that machine?
Yeah.
It's proper over the top at that point with that massive, very big machine, like pumping her full of all those chemicals. I think they were embalming her.
Yes.
Right. Oh, right, yeah, and it pops her eyes out, makes her face just explode with green.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, yeah.
And Jimmy, you bloody idiot! I told you to turn that thing off half an hour ago.
And of course, Jimmy, the Undertaker's assistant, is played by Rose. You already got it. Damn right.
Yeah.
A smaller cameo for him. I'm gutted. I thought he was a permit guy. Well, he's definitely the Undertaker's assistant in that small role.
I love that little laugh he does when like the body's exploding and stuff, and he's just all like
popping the eyes back in.
I'll go get the mop. No, you won't.
Oh god, I'd love that you have the kind of. I'm going to try and theme cuck it again. Lionel, with his approach, is when he's trying to tranquilize his mother and knock her out. He's like delicately trying to undo the screws on the coffin.
Oh, hang on.
He's trying to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say we've skipped another scene there when he goes and gets the tranks from that doctor, and it's clearly he's wearing something underneath that white jacket that when it gets torn off, you see, and
yes, the old friendship windmill.
Is it a naughty mid-century German symbol?
Something like that, yeah. Obviously, we're not going to say it on here because family-friendly stream.
That's it's something familiar to the mid-century Germans. The old windmill. It's, might remind you of the old Windows logo to an extent. But, yeah.
But yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot. They're just they're throwing everything at you in this film. They are not being subtle. They're not being subtle.
Yeah, it's quite easy to miss things because it's just constantly happening, isn't it? Like, because then we go back to the we go back to the funeral, and obviously, trying to trank his mum. I love the dialogue from the priest, which is then just juxtaposed onto what's actually happening behind the scenes. Lionel was blessed with a mother who gave him love like no mother ever could before, and then like beyond, it just pans over and she's like trying to mutilate him.
I'm really sorry, everyone. I'm gonna have to head off. I don't know what I've done to my back, but I'm in a hell of a lot of pain, and I just need to lie down.
Oh, bless you.
I can sympathise a lot with the old back pain. No worries.
Really sorry about.
No, don't worry. Hopefully, we'll have you on another again.
Absolutely.
We still need to do the Disney stream, the scary Disney stream.
Yeah. No, I've really enjoyed it. I genuinely wish I could stay on longer. I'm just in so much pain. I just need to lie down.
No
Blame
worries.
Cammy.
No worries.
See you guys later.
All right. See you, Rose.
See you later. Rose. Okay.
Get well.
Oh, no worries. All right. We're one down, but it's okay. We'll carry on. I do empathise. So. Where were we? We were on the priest doing a very interesting sermon.
Yeah. Can I also say he looks a lot like Father Ted?
Yes. Oh my
God. It really distracted me.
Yeah.
And especially, I was expecting an Irish accent, but obviously it's a Kiwi accent. Just I kick ass for God, for the Lord.
And you know, we missed another scene
Oh, go on.
There's
Well,
there's so much happening. It's just one thing after
Yeah.
another. All right.
It is very quick. Oh, we've got the introduction of Uncle Les, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Uncle
Yeah.
Les. Oh, that guy.
What?
That bloody guy.
Well, New Zealand's biggest word beginning with a T.
Just biggest.
Yeah.
New Zealand's biggest.
Rhymes with
Oh.
bat. Yeah.
He's a force of nature. He's awful, but he's also quite fun to watch.
I found him surprisingly endearing, given that he's a borderline R-wordist, and you know what he's the what would you call it? He's what the feminists would put up as like, oh, this is like, you know, our culture. This is what every man's like.
That you're there to laugh kind of with him, but I don't think we're meant to laugh with him. I think we are meant to.
Yeah.
I mean, he's seen blackmailing and just being awful and predatory. I thought of him. He is Pepe Le Pew.
Nah, Pepe Le Pew's just not into consensual romance.
At least this guy was asking.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose, yes.
And then couldn't take no for an answer.
Yeah. Let's say we get better acquainted. Drags her off to a room.
Oh, me and my sister were very close. I'm gonna have to go and have a stiff drink after this. Yeah, you care to join me, mate?
I get the feeling you could do with a stiff one yourself.
Oh
Yeah.
Oh, you dirty old man.
She's in a full.
If you can find it, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh dear. It's not to be taken seriously. People may get up in arms. I would say him like trying to drag Petrov in the party is like that is taking it a little into. I don't know. It seems weird to complain about going into extreme territory in Braindead, but
I think it was fine for the film personally, but
yeah, in this film, it sort of it feels a bit churlish to complain about that. Also, something that stood out to me, I'll mention it now because I'll forget otherwise, is I've got this on DVD, but I have got a censored version, I realise. And there's something I remember from when it was shown on Channel 4 way back in the day, and it's the two pedo jokes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a guy who's getting two lines saying, I'm sorry I said Nabokov was a paedophile, and then maybe I shouldn't say that in a family-friendly stream, but never mind, I've dropped it. Anyway, sorry, he says, I apologize for saying Nabokov was a Vaush subscriber, and then later he says, some of my best friends are Vaush subscribers.
Oh, he does, yeah. I really.
Sorry, I've got to keep it friendly for.
Yeah.
That's cut on my DVD.
It's one of the best jokes.
I know.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I just thought I'd mention it while I remember. But anyway, yes, in this funeral scene, we get escalation in terms of story points. Like, she's gone, she's thought of as dead. It's getting really hard for Lionel to sort of continue to deny his problem. And in the themes of this story, this is about the problem he has standing up to his mother and becoming an adult man. And this is just the escalation of that. But we also get, the introduction of Uncle Les. We get the introduction of the priest, who's just amazing and kind of looking a bit Savile in this image I've got, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He's otherwise just amazing in film. But the point is to take it to that extreme level where Lionel has denied the problem, and now he ends up going back into the graveyard to dig his mother up. And we then get this absolutely legendary scene
with the well, you got the hooligans, I think they're called in the Wikipedia. They just
It's time for some divine intervention. I kick ass for the Lord.
Just some brilliant Kiwiisms in there. This guy roots corpses. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, don't they call him a necrophile at one point as well?
Yeah.
I bet he's either a grave robber or a necrophile. And then he has to say after, "Oh, you're peeing on my mother there."
I mean,
and then oh god, and then he gets grabbed by the urine expelling instrument, dragged down, and just there's blood everywhere.
Yeah,
that's quite an effect, isn't it? That is quite an effect.
Oh god, yeah, it was so entertaining, and then that's what tips off the priest that something's going down at the graveyard, and then he beats them all up proper. It just,
I have to say, his martial arts was pretty damn like the choreography for that bit. That kind of blew me away. It was really good.
Must have been a stunt double, surely.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, in terms of the actual like choreography for it, because I wasn't, I genuinely wasn't expecting that.
No, it does look good, and it's kind of weird. Like the music does drop out for a bit, and just all you get is the sound effects of him kicking and punching. It's like it's a little weird that they don't have music in that section, but it's just beautiful for escalating. And I think it must have been a Monty Python tribute they were trying to do when he's just taking all the limbs off one of the guys.
Very Black Knight. I did enjoy that. Was he zombified at that point? He must have been grabbed by the rooster.
They were zombies at that point.
Yeah, because people turn into zombies a lot quicker throughout this film, which is fine.
They do. They really do.
The rules for the zombies are all over the place in this, but it's having fun with itself. So
I think that's an understatement, like in terms of the rules.
Because obviously, you got. Well, one of the bikers like survives and goes to his. He takes him back to his house, doesn't he, along with the priest?
You at that point, he's building up his little family. He's got the nurse. He's
feeding them all. What's he feeding them all? Is it like it's tranquilizer mixed with I think it's scrambled egg.
Yeah,
right.
Well, the nurse who's had like a neck sliced. She's eating it, and you can see it coming out of her neck. The hooligan just gets the spoon, puts it through the back of his head. And then his mother starts like grabbing the scrambled egg and eating it herself off his spoon. He gets really mad.
And don't forget the nurse and the priest get a bit frisky as well.
Oh god, even the zombies have character arcs. That's good investment in the characters. That is
because they start trying to get it off in zombie ways. He's trying to stop him. Uncle Les comes in, starts talking about the house, and then he's like, "Oh, are people having it off in there?" It's like, no, you can't go in. It's like, "Oh, you got your dad's stag videos, eh?" And then because they're zombies, they got these really deep grunts. He's like, "Oh, is that the one with the donkey and the chambermaid?" Something like that. And I'm just
have a good time when you're watching this movie, or you won't last, will you?
Yeah, but that was a scene that got me as well. It raises a lot of questions, but those questions need to remain unanswered for the joke to stay.
Absolutely.
Yes. It's I don't know. It's restrained when it chooses to be sometimes.
Yeah.
But again, you have Lionel not standing up for himself. He's bullied by Uncle Les, and he ends up, his problem gets worse. He builds up this family in the basement, and then he has a zombie baby.
Oh yeah! Oh god! Horrible.
He gets into the pattern of just. Once he started injecting the tranquilizer into his mother's nose, he just does it in the nose every single time afterwards.
Yeah, right? Remember last week when we were talking about the worst things that we like having horrors, and I said mine was needles.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No. Why didn't you warn me of that?
I'd forgotten.
It was like up the nose, and with the nurse was like in the eye, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, the nurse has a duck stuck in her head. That makes a. I think. Is that what initially makes her head go back? I can't remember what.
No, the head's pulled back, isn't it? It's pulled off.
By his mother. Yeah.
Yeah. But then she sort of uprighted it again, and like you say, as she's approaching Lionel, this is again earlier. He lobs like that duck, and it smacks in the back of the head, and it sends it back. And every time her head goes back, the gurgling.
That was just so good.
It's really good.
It is just trying to gross you out, this film, half of it, and it's so funny. But and then the nurse has a baby that doesn't even get birthed right. It just cesareans its way out.
Just
Yeah.
alien
Yeah.
necromorph.
Yeah. Xenomorph?
Xenomorph. That's it.
There we go. Hey, do you remember we were talking about Dawn of the Dead in 2005 being the one that asks the zombie baby question?
Yeah, this film asked it a long time before.
Yeah, there is a certain logic to their zombies that, you know, they aren't slow zombies really. They're quite frenetic zombies. They can the whole damage the brain thing does not apply to them at all. Clearly,
that weirded me out.
Yeah, it's I mean, there you could say it's along the line of the Return of the Living Dead zombies that just are unkillable. And you get the feeling it's the same for these guys, because you get one of the most amazing creations is just that pile of innards that acts like a different creature.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That little thing.
Well, what's the rules for the zombies? What do you actually need to destroy to stop them? Because then they've got all these arms that they're using as bats, and they're not working either. It's all over the place, but it's really funny. So, yeah, I let it get away with a lot.
Good. So, I mean, the zombie baby is just quite another extreme thing, but it does essentially let us have that scene in the park.
Yeah, which is funny. Yeah, it is literally just there to be a funny scene. There's no reason for it. Why would he take that out? Nearly bites like 3 kids. It's so funny because he sees the mother trying to treat the baby as a baby, and then at that point he's like, you know, getting up close to it, going coochie coo, and it nearly bites him. And then you find out he's got like a barbed wire fence.
I love that reveal so much. Oh god. I mean, that it's one of the bigger known bits of trivia about the film. Like, this is Peter Jackson's 3rd film. He is getting experienced. He does sort of know what he's doing there, and he actually came in under budget on the film. And it's not a long film. It's a sort of 104 minutes uncut. And so he took the 45,000 New Zealand dollars that he was under budget on, and he shot this scene in the park and just inserts it into the movie. It was never meant to be in there.
Nice.
And it's just him having fun with this absolutely ridiculous scene with the zombie baby. And it's apparently Peter Jackson's favourite bit in the whole movie.
Yeah, it was a good scene.
Yeah.
I love the inconsistency as well with the baby, because you go from like the puppet to like quite clearly a small adult running around.
Oh yeah, that happens. Yeah.
That happens quite a bit, and like it's one of the things you can literally see, like where the helmet, like, or like the bit that goes over the guy's head, you can see where it sort of like loops over.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so bad, but it works. It works because it's so bad.
It's a much more extreme of kind of something you will see when we have our I won't spoil it. We're set to cover a Sam Raimi film with a special guest, and you see a lot of that sort of just an actor messing around with basically just a doll.
Right.
Yeah.
And I want to say just mugging, just going wild and being really quite hammy with it. But both of them just have that really fun vibe. You know, you just tell the actors are having a great time with it.
Yeah.
And it kind of works.
Oh, definitely.
So you have that scene, and it's basically a very short interlude between that scene and the moving to the finale when Lionel gets back and the secret's uncovered. Things are going rapidly at this point. Les basically corners him and says, "You got to get out." And it's about 2 minutes from that until he's bringing all his mates over for a big party. Like, that moves so quickly in the film, I find.
Yeah. The film at this point is just high octane. It's just constantly pumping out bits. Like how quickly he goes from convincing Lionel to give him the some of the the inheritance, and then literally within a scene it's boom, house party, right? Okay.
Hey, it's Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
You get those vibes, don't you? Yeah, those
Yeah.
vibes. Yeah, I like that description. High octane is good. Like I would say, this film just accelerates and accelerates
Mm.
until
Especially-
you hit the
especially-
kind of sad point. But sorry, Karen, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, especially when you watch it on 1.5 speed.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, it sort of rockets forward, and then you do sort of hit a sort of slow point where they try and get serious, and it's kind of in line with the theme where Paquita convinces Lionel that actually, okay, he does have to let go, he does have to put things to rest.
Yeah.
But to
Oh,
stick
God.
with the theme, yeah, there's more injections, of course. They are pushing for a kind of emotion there, but not too hard. And it how can I say, it's thematically on point because he's sort of putting it down, but he still hasn't dealt with the issue because Lionel still hasn't stood up for himself. And therefore the problem doesn't go away. And of course, in a very Peter Jackson fashion, he's made it worse because he has injected them not with poison, which I don't know why you would think that would kill them. But
Well, he injects it with poison, and it turned out to be an animal stimulant. It's just poisonous to humans, so I think that's what makes them all go super zombie.
mm,
Which
Oh
is,
God!
yeah.
Like the explosions and the smoke and all the lights coming up when they
Yeah, it's very Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of made me think of this weird, I don't know, like black metal video. No, heavy metal music video. It's so 80s, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It's quite glorious.
Yeah, as we keep saying, it's just having fun, and that's fine. The tone, as you say, the tone was set at the start. Don't take it serious. Don't take it too seriously. Have fun.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
We get a minor point that how can I say, Lionel does stand up for himself, and he does face Les, and gets you know, it's not that easy. You can't get your win straight away, so he's on the right path, but he gets punched and head butted into the basement.
Yeah.
And then Les tries to drag Paquita off into a cupboard to have his way with her. It's a fair bit, but again, this is an extreme film, and it does start a series of near endless kicks to Les's balls.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone was counting how many times that happened, but it was just
I wasn't
endless.
counting. But
No, neither
was
was
a lot.
I did, but I hadn't. I just hadn't thought before. Like, that just happens over and over and over again. Like they're really going for that. But then, yeah, it's high octane mode. I think that's a description I'm going to go with. The zombies break out. There's some quite interesting thottery with people coming onto Lionel.
Oh yeah, a few of the girls. Well, it's like two of them, isn't it?
Looked lovely, I thought.
Trying to make. Aren't they trying to get him to drink more as well? And then
I think so, but I loved all the costumes, like the dresses, that style. Oh, it's gorgeous. But yes, it's a very short time until Lionel does manage to get out, but then so do the zombies, and it's just I've done it again.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot to full screen it because I'm foolish. Noob. And then, ta-da!
There you go.
Have it.
Yeah, it just gets. Yeah, it's only his face skin that gets torn off for this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I can't even remember how that happens. Isn't it just the biker, the hooligan does that?
Hold on.
They hold.
I feel like that. I feel like this avatar's relevant. Wait for
Permit?
Take your time.
Oh, I just got it. Yes, Hail Hydra. I was going to
Yeah.
say this is Peter
Oh,
Jackson's
right.
low-key audition for the Captain America film. Oh dear. Yeah. So we oh gosh, we just get set piece after set piece of special effects of extremely gory offings of the party goers. It's quite the wild ride, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's. I think someone. I think one of the top comments for the YouTube, the YouTube video that I watched on was like, "Oh, this was like Resident Evil before Resident Evil was made because
I
it's
saw that comment.
based in a mansion, two people trying to survive in like
Yeah,
slightly different stories that intermingle."
yeah, I saw that comment.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just where it goes. Everything goes crazy, and I think it's only just over halfway in the film. Like,
Yeah, there's a fair amount of time left when this all kicks off.
Because I mean, the first 45 minutes is basically trying to get to this, because they just want to have fun in the house with the zombies, which I don't blame them for, because it is very funny. Because was it like, there are zombies trying to crawl through cat flaps or something, and it gets torn in half.
Yeah.
People trying to escape everywhere in the garden keep getting bitten and things like that. What does the woman, the zombie woman whose face is like lit up all the time? What does she actually get her head put in? I can't remember.
It's a lamp. It's a lamp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's the one who gets her back of her head punched through, isn't it? By the
It is.
Yeah.
This is something I wanted to mention specifically because this is one of my favorite things. I'm going to sound a little ghoulish here, but this is one of those effects that I absolutely live for. It is very rare, but I love the effect when someone punches through another person. And I think it's happened like 4 times in cinema that I've seen. Like, there is this. There is the end of Angel season 4. There is Terminator 3, and there is 30 Days of Night, and I'm sure there are others. But anytime I see a sort of someone punching through someone, I love the effect, and especially punching through the back of the head. I love it.
It's the back of the head, and then he's like trying to grab the other one while the head's
that's it.
through the arm.
Yeah.
He's obviously a model, but I'm just laughing. It's just so over the top. It's great.
And it always, and it builds and escalates as well, because it's not enough that this lovely woman's just had her head punched through. She then, knowing that she has got that hole in the back of her head, they hook her onto the darn light.
Yeah.
It's never the one thing. It's always they build up and they build up. So Boyd, the punk, when he ends up sort of going through the cat flap, he gets cut in half.
Yeah,
and then
his legs animate.
His legs animate. His guts come out and animate, and then he's stuck in a toilet. It's
and blood goes everywhere with that as well while he's climbing up. Oh yeah,
it just doesn't end. It just escalates and escalates and escalates.
It's so his innards like gets distracted by the mirror. How it can see itself, I don't know, but it starts like being really vain, like pushing up his. It's not even, what is it? It's like his throat just pushes up with the lungs, which clearly have a pair of hands in them. But it's just so funny.
I mean, if you want there's kind of the epitome of the film is they do that thing with this pile of innards animating and acting like a separate creature, and Lionel's trying to climb upwards away from them, and you just look down this thing and you see the sort of the end of the intestines, and then that thing just farts. Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not at this point?
And she starts blending everything as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to, it's the only solution.
Well, if anything, I mean, that was probably the most effective tactic.
Yeah.
Because everything was reanimating, like the hands. Because there's one bit, isn't there, where the hand gets. She's trying to blend the hand, and the hand actually grabs her and tries pulling her into the blender. But yeah, like that's probably the only way you could kill them, because like Proper Horror Show said, you can't exactly shoot them in the head because it doesn't seem to be conventional conventional method of killing zombies. Like you said, you cut them in half. Both ends are still animated. Other bits, like the intestines and stuff, come out. So it's just like the only thing you've got to do is just turn them into a pile of goop, basically.
And that is exactly what they end up doing after. I mean, there's a lot of, I guess, sort of choreography and moving around and escaping, and Uncle Les going on an absolute machete. Sorry,
that scene, yeah. He's just got all the pieces in front of him.
Little hatchet rampage.
One of the zombies can't get past the pile of bits.
Yeah,
he's just like, oh. He lights up a cigarette. Oh, and he's got his inhaler all the time as well. I like that.
While he's smoking, puffing on the inhaler.
Yeah. I enjoy that. That detail.
I like the garden gnome getting stuck in the zombies.
Oh
my gosh. Oh dear. I mean, there's a lot of, I guess I'd say, action choreography and effects work, but it is just building up to, of course.
And another bit that I forgot.
Go for it.
Again, the baby was in the scene as well with the blender, and my expectations were well and duly subverted in that bit, because it puts him in the blender, and then I'm thinking, right, this baby's going to get blended. She switches it on, it bounces up, and then she just punches it through the window.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was really funny.
God damn. Yeah, it's intense. And of course, it culminates in a 300 litre of fake blood extravaganza.
With the lawnmower.
The lawnmower.
It would never work, but it's just, as we keep saying, just let it happen. It's very funny. Just because he walks through and it's like, it shows close-ups of things getting mowed. And then he turns around. He's barely actually gone through any of them. And he's like,
he's just gone through the middle, and all the ones around the side of him were just like,
So he just walks back through it again and again and again.
It's got a kind of Looney Tunes energy at some points, especially the bit where he's just running on the spot. And he can't move because of the blood. It was very Looney Tunes, wasn't it?
He's running on that for ages, but then the way he actually gets traction is by stepping on zombies' heads. Which I found funny as well. Yeah, then he comes back with the lawnmower. Oh God, it's hard to remember what happens at the chronology of this bit, to be honest, because it all just almost happens at once. Because obviously, one of the ladies gets bitten that Paquita's with.
Yeah,
she's trying to save her all the time, and Uncle Les is like, "Oh, she's gotta go."
What the bloody hell is that? She's been bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
what happens to Uncle Les when he goes to the basement?
Well, we'll cover Les. We'll cover Les in a second, but I just want to say about the lawnmower. Apparently, the reading I've done tells me that apparently Stanley Kubrick, the great man, thought that he had done the bloodiest scene ever in The Shining with the elevator opening, and yet was surprised after watching this that he had been out-blooded. But that is insignificant, because the main takeaway from this is that Stanley Kubrick watched Braindead, and wouldn't you just like to see his reactions to it?
Yes,
Can you
honestly.
imagine?
very interesting. Yeah, that'd be quite interesting. Probably thinking, what the bloody hell is this?
Rethinking his life.
Yeah.
He was. Yeah. I believe he was in the running to direct Schindler's List, he was doing a Schindler's List style project at the same time that this was going into production and Schindler's List was going into production. And he got news of the Schindler's List production and then said, essentially, sod it, I'm going to do something else. It's a shame. I'd have liked to have seen his take on that. Random Kubrick facts, people. But anyway, yes, we have the lawnmower scene. It is it's kind of your pièce de résistance. It's your spectacle. Yeah. It is the thing that this film has to be known for.
I wonder if the blood was corn syrup, like the same stuff they use for pig's blood in Carrie.
I reckon so. Oh, I love it. Nicely done. Congrats, you
Oh.
get the points for the screen reference this episode.
Nice,
Ding ding ding
nice.
ding ding.
Awful.
You're just mad.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right, but yes, you brought up. I mean, it's tricky because we are kind of in things just happen mode at this point. It's so much. It's so darn
Yeah,
much.
I mean, things happen for more reason than in, American Mary, but yeah, I know what you mean. A lot goes on at once, really, because where did Paquita and black-haired woman go? Because I think they go somewhere before Uncle Les goes to the basement, but I can't really remember.
They end up hiding somewhere else, and then the baby murks the woman with black hair in an absolutely spectacular manner.
Oh yeah.
God, what happens again?
He
It just
comes out the back of her head, like rips the front of her face out and then sticks his head through.
Yeah, just laughing. Yeah, I remember that now. God, that was horrific. God, I can't believe this film nearly got a 15 in the UK.
Yes, yeah. The BBFC felt that it was so clearly cartoonish and comedy-like that they thought, well, that it's not really malicious, because they're quite mindful of a film that is kind of like sadistic and malicious and spiteful, and they're just like, no, everyone in this film is just having a great time. It's clearly over the top and ridiculous. It's not really trying to scare you all that much at this point. So
no.
Well, yeah, it's more trying to disgust you, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I will say about this film, especially in the scene, in the house when it was all going Pete Tong, it genuinely looked like people were enjoying being part of that, Yeah. I just felt like it would have been really fun to have been part of that.
Oh, definitely. I think people are just having a good time in that, basically, exactly like you say, and it looks great. They're rocking out. Ultimately, they are all dealt with, and then we have to ask at this point, like, Les is not a good guy. Uncle Les, as effective as he is with the hatchets, he's got to get his comeuppance. And after doing this sort of cowardly thing of leaving everyone else to get taken out, he makes his escape, not running up the stairs when he should have been going out the front door, which is insulting, as Scream fans would note. He goes down into the basement and is, of course, taken out by the last zombie we have not seen when Mother comes back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he gets tapped on the shoulder by a monstrous hand with long claws, yeah.
Yeah.
How did you feel about this, Haryan?
I mean, the film was just doing what it wanted at that point, and then obviously he gets picked up, and then you only see the shadow, which I really liked, but the shadow showed clearly that he was having his spine removed or taken out of his body. But then it cuts, and you're like, "Oh, what happened there?" And then he appears a bit later with like his spine's like keeping his head up, and the rest of his body's like slumped down. When Paquita sees him, and it's just, it's very cartoonish rather than anything scary. And like when it does a close up to his face, it's obviously his face, but then when it's far away, it's obviously a really bad model. Oh god.
Yeah, the models we might have some questions over, but there's a kind of lovely shoddy quality to everything that you just go along with.
It is so good.
The reanimated Mother is massive. Interestingly enough, she's kind of like extremely sexualized. She is nude, and like she's kind of built like a fertility statue, which is a really weird choice.
Big milkers.
Great big milkers, giant Nicki Minaj buttocks. She's thick.
I got the metaphor in that with the design of Lionel's mother, and obviously her basically putting her son back inside of her. I got that whole metaphor.
Yeah.
in
Oh,
there.
did you pick up on it? It was,
Just a hint.
oh gosh, I mean, yeah. I don't feel I'm theme cucking at this point. It's pretty. There is a message here. There is a message. He once again needs to. I mean, this is Peterson's devouring mother, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quite literally. Yeah. Well, she literally says, "No one will love you like your mother does."
She says with those. She says with the big old milkers out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and quite literally opening a gaping gash in her.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's god, yeah, and Paquita's there hanging on for dear life over the house. Yeah. It's a great bit, and then he stabs her open with the moon and star symbol thing. Very all very dramatic license was allowed there.
Set up
Gushing
way
out.
earlier in the film, and it's fine. It just
Yeah.
we know that's his symbol, but yes, he it's a symbol of a knight, a man of action, and he uses it. He vanquishes the dragon of chaos, and sends her into the house to burn up. And
an interesting character development with the mother as well. I mentioned it earlier when Lionel has the drowning. It turns out
of
that
course, yes.
it turns out that Lionel's mother had actually killed Lionel's dad and his mistress, and he was remembering it wrong for years. He thought that his dad saved him after he fell off a pier, but obviously that never happened, and so he blocked it. He repressed those memories for all those years until eventually it all came out. And I think that was really what was the catalyst for Lionel being able to basically detach himself from his mum. And obviously she couldn't hack it. So she put him back inside of her.
Yeah.
I also want to point out I didn't save the screen cap of it, so I'll give up on that, unfortunately. I was trying to find the screen cap of the Polaroids that Lionel finds.
Oh yeah, the skeleton.
That brilliant one of just, I loved this when I was seeing this as a kid, just the quick one where the dad's trying to put a sausage in his mistress's mouth. It's there for about 2 seconds, but it's just...
Yeah, that was funny. And,
it's brilliantly unsubtle winking at the camera. Why not?
God,
why
not? Because when he's in the attic, he gets it because he's clumsy throughout the film, which is fine. But he gets his leg stuck in the wire, and then he's falls down a hole into the main bit of the building. But that wire's connected to the lamp.
With
the woman, in the back of her head. So she starts trying to get Paquita at one bit, and then he falls down. And she just goes flying up to the attic, getting stuck. Yeah, it's
that building up that Proper Horror Show was saying, wasn't it? Because
all just connects. It's so funny. And then but we kind of skip right to the end with the devouring mother getting killed, and then they end up on the ground floor. And then they're both absolutely caked in blood, and she still kisses him on the cheek, and I'm like, Jesus.
Let the guy have a shower, eh?
Yeah, this some effed up foreplay. Yeah,
I mean, it all burns down. The house built burns down as well, but it's it works because symbolically, it's just the new start for him. One thing I did find it weird, and this is an inconsequential point, but I thought it was a bit weird that he chucks the star away. Crossword star. Why did he do that?
Mission accomplished. I took it as just reminds me too much of the house and everything before it. Just off you go. Now we're going off together for something new. Yeah,
I guess so. I kind of took it as it's a symbol of who he's going to be, so he should keep it. And also, it's a bit harsh. It is Paquita's grandmother's old jewelry, so it's a bit, it's a bit off to just, bin it. That's it.
Well, the idea of that, I'm just spitballing here, but the idea of carrying that pendant was to basically give him protection. So maybe him throwing that away was a symbol of him no longer needing others to protect him. That he's more than capable of doing it himself.
It could be. I guess I just didn't like him yeeting it. But
No, I didn't either.
it's a minor point in the film, and I'm weird for quibbling it. I know, but yeah. So you got to the end. He's vanquished the devouring mother. He's overcome his key struggle and has triumphed and has had a complete character arc. And again, this is something that I think does distinguish Braindead, which is incredibly puerile, incredibly crude, not taking itself seriously. The thing that helps it stand out and be more worthy is the fact that it is there to have a stronger character arc in there. It's got a heart, and there is sort of something a bit more serious in there. You know, in a film where you have a animated pile of guts that sort of crawls around and farts, it's good to have a sort of important message about becoming an adult and standing up for yourself and embracing your destiny. I'm really trying to sell that. I don't know how convincing it is.
Yeah, I think a certain person I covered on today's video could have learned this lesson.
Top shill. And thank you for showing in the channel and that as well.
That's all right.
Very appreciated. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about Braindead. It's effectively that inclusion of the heart and the strong character arc. That's what starts Peter Jackson on the path to being a much more serious, accomplished filmmaker. It starts getting him the more serious, demanding drama roles of Heavenly Creatures, and then doing a big American film with The Frighteners, and then it's that short matter of time until he's trusted to do Lord of the Rings and King Kong. But it starts with, I think Braindead is where it starts, where he does show himself, it sounds weird, but taking the film seriously by having a character arc in it. Guys, did you have any more you would like to say on the fabulous fun that is Braindead?
I would say go and watch it. Don't think, just enjoy, because it's definitely one of those films. But yeah, there is a coherent storyline throughout the absolute madness that's going on. But yeah, I would recommend this film. I'm surprised to say, Empire.
Empire is not happy with it.
He was not happy with this. It's not. I don't think this is a film that was designed to be an absolute masterpiece. It's like Ron Seal. It does exactly what it says on the tin. You know, it is what it is. And I think if you can accept that for what it is, then I think that the film itself can be that bit more enjoyable for you.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
12 burgers.
Oh, savage! One burger out of 12. I bet you wouldn't even put cheese on it.
I'll just
stingy burger.
You're just wrong, and that's okay.
I mean, I'll be honest. I find it harder to talk about Braindead because there isn't as much sort of meat to get into. But it is it's fun. It's a fun horror. It's a very different vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a comedy above all else, and that's fine. But to say it was, it's like when it comes to the actual story, it's like it's very bare bones, but the story's more there to get these set pieces in, which is fine, and it makes it very clear from the start that that's all it's trying to do. So if that's not your thing, fair enough. But I mean, I recommend it. This is, you know, it's very Monty Python-esque, very Terry Gilliam-esque, but you know. That's as far as I go. I mean, his mother, when she's trying to chase him out of the house, she gets run over by a tram and goes flying through the glass door.
With the clothes sign round her neck as well.
Yeah. And then he notices, and then instead of being worried, he just injects her with tranquilizers again. It's as I say, there's a lot of steamed hams kind of humor in it, which I'm happy with. So.
I mean, if this is your thing, if you enjoyed this vibe, there's a fair amount of it. Like, this is part of the old
no cheese.
the old It's what you call like the splatterpunk subgenre. I don't know if anyone uses that term anymore. We used to call it that in the late 90s. I'm old, so I remember. If you like this, try Bad Taste, Peter Jackson's first film. Maybe try the second Evil Dead, and if you like that, the first Evil Dead. Try things like Return of the Living Dead. They're going to be sort of giving you that vibe that you might quite like if you want more things that are sort of on this level, I would say. It's probably not going to do the sort of people who like to be really scared much, but I think you can have a good time with this. We are going to do a very different thing next. I will be announcing the horror homework tomorrow, as I usually do. But yeah, I come out and say I'd recommend Braindead as well. It is a fun experience. It's quite unforgettable. It shows the range of horror, and it's quite interesting to watch it, knowing what Peter Jackson went on to do.
Yeah, I would not.
Yeah.
After watching this film, if you said, "Oh, this same guy who did Lord of the Rings," by the way, I wouldn't believe you, just because of how different the tones are and how differently it's been directed. But I guess that just shows Peter Jackson's talent. So there you go.
We've had quite a far-ranging episode here, like the very dry history of the BBFC from 1912 to 1932, and then this film.
And the BBFC stuff was only part one. There's more to come.
There's so more. I'll see if people want to hear more about the BBFC and maybe some controversial censorship decisions, I can do that. But I will be led by you. Something that I do want to do is work out a way of you, the lovely viewer, choosing the film we watch. I sort of might try and do that as maybe like every 10th one. So I know something we've had requested was, help me out here, was 1 hour photo.
Yes.
Someone wanted. I've had a few requests. Just comment on the video, tell me what you want us to do, and we'll chat it out and put it in the schedule if we think we've got something to say about it. But that's pretty much all I had to say about this one. I do want to again reiterate thanks to That Crime Guy and Harry, and of course Rose, who unfortunately had to drop off partway through, but we will have back on another time. And a little moment of congratulations to That Crime Guy, because it is quite a special week for you. If you'd like to tell people what happened, like got over a milestone, man.
Yeah, so last week I did a collaboration with another true crime YouTuber called The Crime Reel. And it's just been a bit mad. Like last week I was on 540 odd subs and about 1100 watch hours. And then this week I've just gone over 1400 subs and I'm like a day or two away from being able to apply for monetization. So it's been quite mad. And yeah, I literally don't really have much that I can say about it other than thank you, to everyone that supported the channel. It's been so far. It's been quite an experience, and I hope that it continues for some time yet.
I mean, it's well deserved. It's funny how this works, isn't it? My biggest video is this will be familiar to everyone who has a channel. Is you've got the video that you put a ridiculous number of hours in, and like 2 people saw it. Yeah. My biggest video is a random one that I did on reading The Matrix as a trans allegory and why that doesn't work, and I filmed it sort of off the cuff, ad-libbing the whole thing, and that just went absolutely crazy. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's very different for you, That Crime Guy, because the videos I put the least effort into, I tend to get the most views. That seems to be the same for Proper Horror Show, but you put the most effort into this one, and you've actually been rewarded for it.
Well, you say that, but then equally, the other, it can happen the other way around as well. Like the sort of family video that I did prior to obviously the boost that I've got, you know, I put a hell of a lot of effort into that, and that was one of my least performing videos. I think I mentioned it in the chat. You know, that was one of the videos I was most proud of because of like the research and the stuff that went behind it, and it got next to no traction, and I just was like, ow. Ow. But yeah, I mean, since last week, thankfully that's started to get noticed now. But yeah, I'd like to do well, I'd like to do more of that sort of stuff in the future in terms of collaborations and whatnot. So, and you know, if anyone's got any scripts or anything that they want me to read, I'm for any cases that they might have researched, then hell yeah, I'd be up for doing that.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah, and actually along those lines, I had an idea, sort of a way of solving that. I created a little playlist for anyone who doesn't know the channel super well. I felt a bit sort of navel gazy doing it, but I made a playlist of like my current favorite videos that I've done on the channel. So if people want to get an idea of what they should watch, if they want to go back in the history and see the best of proper horror show, then it is in that playlist, which is linked in the description of this video. And,
Nice.
that is enough for, including the questionable Christmas special, which I'm proud of, but I don't know whether I should be. Anyway, moving on. I've talked about me enough. Haryan,
Yes,
you got a video out today?
I did. The CIA and MI5 went woke. Well, they didn't really go woke. The CIA is getting to the final form of their wokeness by putting out an entire recruitment video that didn't actually tell you anything about a CIA job. Just said if you're a mother and, you know, a Latina. They didn't use Latinx, which I was surprised at. Then you'd be perfect for the role. It was the most ridiculous recruitment video I've seen in my life. So I was just covering leftist tricks, I guess. Believe it or not, I'm a LG. I like that. So I was covering that, and you know, there was a judge in Britain saying maybe there are a fair few transgender activists that have too much say in, you know, the laws that are being made, and I can't remember what the other thing was. I was complaining about mon goings on when it comes to leftist tricks, though. So if you enjoy that type of rank punditry, do go to my channel. It's entertaining, I swear.
It is. I'm going to be watching that after this, I reckon.
Awesome.
I was still. The BBFC is a rabbit hole. I had to really trim it down, but I will be definitely watching that. And so I will probably tie it off there. It's a relative. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Just before, I've also got a video out today as well. If you like Braindead, well, actually, no, I'm not going to go there. It's a viewer discretion is advised one. It's called The Tragic Story of Joel Guy Sr. and Lisa Guy. If you want to go watch that, please, by all means do. Just brace yourself, is all I will say.
It's an intense one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's a relatively brisk stream this time, but I used to start these thinking we'd do about 90 minutes, but the time does fly on this. I did get a bit worried when we're nearly knocking on 3 hours with the 4 carry films.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Like four films, 3 hours.
Yeah.
I blame Poe.
Oh dear.
Well, she's not invited back because Carrie isn't one of her favourite top 10 films.
In fairness, come on, it's pretty shocking. I have invited her to do something else, seeing as, you know, the horror thing isn't working. We're going to do poetry reviews together.
Oh.
Working title: 2 Girls, 1 Couplet. That may have been a lie, but what's the problem? This is a family-friendly stream, and we like poetry here.
Oh yeah. Family friendly references, 2 girls, 1 cup. All right.
2 girls, 1 couplet. It's entirely distinct for copyright reasons.
Yeah,
Sure.
Harry, weren't you paying attention?
No, I was not.
Queen Boudica, yes, all our channels are linked below in the description, and the playlist for my sort of top 10 is in the description as well. If you're looking at my most recent videos, the latest one on growing carrots is maybe confusing, but don't worry about it. This is
It's wholesome.
it's
And
wholesome. It's about growing carrots.
It's
So-
what Carl Benjamin calls nutritional content.
exactly.
Nourishing.
Nourishing. It's virtuous.
Yes.
But yes, this channel is vast and contains multitudes, as they say. But with that, I am going to round things off. I will once again just reiterate thanks to all my guests and to everyone who's watched it live and who's watching it on the replay. You're all stars. I have a great time doing this, and I hope you all enjoyed it too. And that is all from me. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.
See you later.